Hey everybody, it's Cheryl Lawson, and welcome to the first studio version of LiveFAQ. I'm here with two of my favorite ladies, Regina Brugh and Tamara Hall. Welcome, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. So we're here today to talk about the science of you. So Tamara, I'll start with you. What is the science of you?
The science of me, or how I would describe it, is it's like the operating manual for how my body behaves. And about 10 to 12 years ago, when both my sister and I started having health issues, we couldn't figure out what was going on. And even though there was a lot of science out there on what to do and what not to do and some nice tests, we couldn't resolve it. And then I came across this wonderful manual for my body known as my genetics. I call it my code. And it actually tells me how my body works so that I know how to fuel it, how to help it get rid of its waste, and all the wonderful things that allow it to work appropriately.
Wonderful. So Regina, what is the science of you?
Well, I kind of agree with Tamara. Science of you to me is the map to know yourself better, to know what kind of move you have to take to get where you want it to be. Rather than guess, it's taking away the guessing.
Right. So there's a lot of talk in the news, and people are talking about it on the internet as well about DNA. So does DNA relate to the science of you?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's unique. And our science is becoming so vast and so specific that you can actually look at how we're different. So when I first started investigating myself, and I would ask Regina, okay, I think I might have arthritis. This is what I learned. It wasn't arthritis at all. I'd been tested, came back negative. It wasn't the arthritis, it was what I was eating and the byproducts of what I was eating. And it was landing in my joints, causing pain. As soon as I got rid of it, it went away. And for me, the interesting thing was, it was everything you hear in the news: eat more leafy green vegetables, right? More spinach, more kale, get your vitamins. And so I was actually making shakes in the morning with all these greens, and my body couldn't digest or break down those greens. And so what ended up happening, I was storing versus utilizing. And that's what was causing my symptoms.
So there's a lot of talk about DNA in the news and all over the internet. So does DNA relate to the science of you?
Yes, or this is how I see it. When I was trying to figure out what was going on with my body, my DNA is actually my operating code. And the way to think of it is, it's the manual that tells me how this machine, not everyone else's machine, but this machine works. And everybody has a very unique set of DNA, unless you're an identical twin. But what happens for me is, without looking at that, I sometimes do things that I think are good for me, like you always hear eat more dark leafy vegetables, eat more kale, more spinach. And so here I was trying to improve my health, doing all those things. And instead of improving it, it was actually making me worse.
Wow.
Yes. And basically, I absolutely agree with Tamara. And if I would say it in how I see it, I always say to the people, genetics is what you're born with. It is nothing you can do about it. But genetic expression is how your genes that you're born with will express themselves through your life, through the lifestyle you're going to put yourself in, environment, stress level, how many kids, how many bad husbands. Just kidding. But it's definitely in your hands. DNA you're born with. Genetic expression is something you have say in.
And the simple way I look at that is, you buy a car, and whether it lasts 120,000 miles or it lasts 50,000 before it breaks down depends on how you drive it. So when you think of your genetics, while it's the operating manual, it's how you behave with those genetics that determines the actual longevity and the way the machine works.
Well, I always told my mom, if you take care of your car will take care of you. So it's the same as your body, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your health.
Definitely goes both ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So You talked about epigenetics, and I hear a term a lot online and in the news. The term is methylation.
Oh, sure.
What is methylation first?
Well, methylation is very important process, and we say it's a key cellular pathway that promotes countless critical function in the body. And when we think of those functions, we're talking about DNA silencing, DNA repair. It controls inflammation. It turns on and off the genes, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, for example, how would I know if I have a methylation problem or if something has gone awry?
Yes. Well, methylation problem, they always come out as symptoms or our sicknesses. The people call this chronic sicknesses or something like that. And we call them cancer, we call them diabetes. Autistic children are the byproduct of methylation. Pretty much anything that there is as a chronic disease, we can say that is a product of poor methylation.
So are you telling me that methylation can identify, what I should eat, how I should exercise, what types of food and exercise I should do for whatever I'm trying to achieve?
Well, it's, again, a great question. But here, so it's not just the methylation, your DNA. DNA is where you can get into and look, okay, so which genes was I born with that helping me to be what I want to be? And we're talking about if I want to be an athlete, should I be a runner or should I be a weightlifter? If I want to lose, later on in life, if I want to lose weight, how can I lose weight with less effort? What is the easiest way? What is the shortcut? We all love shortcut.
Right.
It's the pills used to be a shortcut, but shortcut is in your DNA. If you look at your DNA very, very closely and figure out what it is that you were born with, you will actually see how to avoid something that needs to be avoided and how to get where you want to be in the shortest amount of time.
And not to oversimplify it, but if you think about in your car, you get the dummy lights, that's your symptoms. It's not telling you specifically what's going wrong with the car. It's just saying check your oil. And your symptoms are saying check how your body's working so that you know what you're putting in it and how you're taking care of it is the way it functions.
Right.
And going back to the question was, you said the exercise or the fuel is so important.
Yeah.
We all use food. Why do we eat? I always tell to my clients, what is it food to you? It's not just besides the pleasure, so it's the purpose. And the purpose is to give you energy. And energy so you can do your everyday task and also for your body to repair, to rejuvenate. We all need energy for that. And if you put the wrong fuel in, somebody told me this. I think, Tamara, you just mentioned that. How did you say it? You said the pool.
So it's like taking a car that runs on unleaded gas and giving it diesel.
There you go.
And it's not going to get far down the road before it breaks down or starts to clog.
And you couldn't say better than this. That's exactly right.
Right. So, okay, so we talked about food, and your example is really great about we all think that everybody should be eating the same thing, but it's really specific to your DNA or genetics. It's how you're made up, right? So, okay, let's go into exercise because I think personally I've tried just about everything and some things I'm successful with, some things not so much. So is what you're talking about, would it also tell me how to exercise?
Oh, absolutely. And actually I have to tell you something. I have your results right here. And I had a chance to look it through. And if I would not know who you are and I look at your results, I would say it must be very difficult for you to go to the gym and just lift weight to lose weight. Is that true?
Yes.
It is. Because according to your genetic makeup, it looks like for you to, if you decide to lose any weight, you have to do a little bit more cardio, which means endurance exercise, because your body does not like any weightlifting. Is it relaying? Is it?
Absolutely. And so from the really affordable genetic test that I did, you could tell me that
absolutely.
weightlifting is not best
Absolutely.
for me, but that cardiovascular
Yes.
is better.
Physiogenomics, they call that in these days. So we can look at your genes and we can see which one is responsible for what kind of exercise you have to perform to get the best results. Should be it's more explosive, or should it be more endurance like marathon running, or you should be literally a sprinter.
So are there will it tell me different if I want exercise for weight loss or exercise for if I wanted to train for a marathon or to be some sort of athlete?
Yes, it's basically going to tell you this. If you try to run, don't do it.
Okay.
And if you want to lift weight, for some of us, I have friends who said that I killed the long life dream of being a weightlifter. And I'm sorry for all of those. I consider that as a favor. I give them a favor, and I'm giving you a favor. If you decide to lose weight and you decide to go to the gym and lift the weights, it would be probably the worst thing you can imagine.
Wow.
For you.
That is amazing. So we talked a lot about exercise, and I'll just give you a quick story. When I was in California, I had a bicycle, and because I didn't ship my car there, so I rode the bike from the house to the bus stop, and then bus stop to school. So what you're telling me is those little short spurts of exercise, probably I should have just rode the bike the 3 miles to the school.
Absolutely. See, you already know. I think all of us, once we have a little bit of experience in life and try several things, we kind of already figure out for ourselves what it is that works for us. But having that confirmation, looking at something that tells you that exactly you were right, but now I can see why and where it's coming from, it was huge for me, because I always try my best when I was training. And I trained really, really hard, because I came to the highest level in my country, and it was my dream to make Olympics, to go to Olympics. And when I didn't have that for the last push, I always wonder what makes me so different. This what makes you different, because I'm genetically programmed not to be able to run a long distance. Wow. And my sports require me to run 2 kilometers.
So there's a lot of genetic testing out there, and some of them are quite affordable. So what you're saying is you can use the results from that, because I think that was really the confusing part. Is I did the testing, got the results, and I couldn't decipher what it was trying to tell me. So you're saying that you have an opportunity, or when you look at it, you can pinpoint the specific items that can make me the best me.
That's right. That's right. Why I love this test so much, because like I said earlier, it will take the guessing out of game. You do not guess anymore. You know exactly what it is that you're dealing with. And then you apply more science to it. And of course, it is a little bit of a testing you have to do, because your genetic expression already took a place. When you're 20, it's not so much, because you still have a pool of resources. Your body will pull it. Your body will always balance itself out. Whatever's missing, it will always figure out the way to pull it out. But as you're going along in life, taking out, eventually you will take more than you have, and that's when trouble begins. And when
you think of how it applies to the science of you, it is one piece, right? So it's no different than you get this operator's manual, and then you use the machine, and then all of a sudden the warning light comes on. You then kind of need to understand what is the status of the machine. And so the science of you is a combination of what is my blueprint, or how do I work, what is my current status and how I've been working, and is something needing repair. And once you focus on those, then you can see how to best optimize yourself. Always going back into thinking, how does it work for me? And one of the classics that I use, and this is something that Regina taught me, is you hear in the media what you should or should not do. And how many times do you hear people saying, coffee's good for you, coffee's not good for you, and what are you supposed to think? You know, or the same thing with red wine, or the same thing with dark green leafy vegetables. And when I was trying to readjust myself and thinking, okay, do I have to give up all these things to improve my methylation? Well, lo and behold, coffee doesn't affect me like it affects
And
everyone.
I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you here. Once again, ta-da-da-da moment.
Yeah.
So your gene for the metabolism of coffee, that enzyme that will break down the coffee, is unfortunately, here's your results. It is double. You got, your parents give you a big, actually, gift. I consider that a gift. They decide that you should not be drinking coffee.
Wow.
Because it could be bad for you. And so you have deficiency in coming from both of your parents.
So that explains why when I go to locally here to Topeka or even Starbucks and I get the large coffee, that I am jittery and and then crash immediately.
Here you go. Here you go. Well, it's right there. It's all in your DNA.
Wow.
And I bet you if you could read that a little bit earlier, you would stop drinking coffee.
I probably would have never started drinking coffee if I.
Or you at least understand why you're having the effect,
right,
and what you can do about it. And I always say this, that you can kind of control, right? So everything has a byproduct. What you want to do is keep it at an equilibrium so that you have trade-offs. And so it doesn't mean that I can go out and just drink all the coffee I want to drink, because right, it has a byproduct, but it's going to have less of a resistance for me to get it out of my system than for you.
Okay.
So if you want to drink that coffee, you have to drink it much slower.
Yeah.
If people love the coffee, I would never tell them stop drinking coffee. Just drink it slower, and don't drink more than, in your case, 1, max 2 cups. But you still can enjoy it. And how we say, everything is okay in moderation. But where is that okay for you, it's going to be different okay for the other person. And so that's what basically you find out. Find out who you are. If you know who you are, just go from there. Rather than listen to somebody say, oh, the Atkins is the way to go, which, a lot of people benefit from it. It's not a bad thing, but is that your diet? What is it good for you? And we all can live to our best potentials. And I want to improve myself. I always want to see how far can I take me, what it is that I was born with that wants to be. I want to be better. Why not? Why be worse?
I always tell people the best way to start on the journey for the science of you is start with the genetics. Start with some testing that tells you how your body's functioning, especially if you're having symptoms. If you've been diagnosed and you're being followed by a doctor and you're feeling good about your health, you're not going to be as motivated to probably dig deeper. But if you're not getting the results you want to see, or if the things that you're trying aren't working, the science of you really brings the light on, and I often describe it for myself as in this dark room of health, somebody turned the light on. And now I am more empowered and have more tools to work on my own health.
That's fantastic.
If you try to conceive a child, my girlfriend came to me, and I have to say this, my heart goes to many of the ladies or many of the families who's trying to have a baby. I mean, how important it is. It takes this is an example. Before you want to have a kid, you need to know your genetics. Once your kid born, you want to see what is his genetics. I mean, just in that short amount of time, genetics play such a big role. I would say it's the most important thing and the most payful. It will pay itself back over and over in any aspect of your life.
Wow, that really is amazing, and I wish we'd had this conversation, 15 years ago, when I started on my journey to find the science of me. But I'm so glad to have met the two of you. And if you guys would like to, whether you've gotten one of the affordable genetics testing or not, or you plan to, if you'd like to learn more about it, or you'd like to talk with Regina or Tamara more, please follow the link in the comments below. And we'll share it with you, and we'll also answer some of your questions in future live FAQs. So thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Yes,
thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.